Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
Happy Friday. What's happening? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Account for Life podcast. And today, how I almost lost my God-given power. How I almost lost my God-given power. What an awesome and incredible day. Just want to give a shout out. If you're an accountant, right? If you're an accountant, bookkeeper, someone who's in the profession of accounting and taxes, look, I want you to be on the lookout because we are going to be doing something amazing and special just for these types of professions. We're going to be offering our profession away. I can't even give all the details yet, but a way to really transform and become more than you've ever thought you could become. So be on the lookout. Link coming soon. Everything's coming soon. Everything's coming together. So if you know any bookkeepers, accountants, tax preparers, people like that, listen to this podcast. This podcast is about how to account. And so today, how I almost lost my God-given power. What is power? What is power? Power is the ability to do something. That's what power is. So if I almost lost it, then what in the world happened? Take you back a few years. I think it was back in 2012, between 2012, 13, 14. I was in a network marketing company. I may have shared this story, but I'm going to share it again because stories help us to understand how something happened. Say it again. Stories help us to understand how something happened. And actually, a story helps us to understand. It kind of like if someone wanted to teach you something, they told you a story, you would learn it faster by the story than you would if they literally showed you step by step. So 2012, 13, and 14, I was in a network marketing company, just living a life, wanting to be great. That was the first time in my life that I felt like something was calling me. And I said, is it network marketing? What? I'm going to be an awesome network marketer. And I was okay. I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't at the top. So that's it. Most people don't make that much money in network marketing anyway. And I wanted to make a lot of money and it never happened. But at any rate, I got so much more out of it than just that. One of the leaders that I was following, that I was listening to, that I really wanted to emulate his success, he says, Jay, why don't you quit accounting? Why don't you give that up? Do this. This is way better. And I remember my wife, Jenny, was like, listen, don't listen to that guy. It's something that I don't know. I don't like him. And I was like, why are you hating? I used to be saying that. Why are you hating, man? He's a decent guy now. That was back before I learned some things. Then what happened was, see, guys, here's the interesting thing. When we're not doing the things we're supposed to do, you could potentially fall for anything. And I almost fell for it. Now, luckily, the word got out. And some of the stuff, I started kind of feeling a certain kind of way. So I never did it. Obviously, I did not give up the accounting. Now, here's the interesting thing about the whole, how you almost lose power. What is power? Power is ability. But if we look at what God told the Israelites in Deuteronomy 8:18, it is God that gives the power. God gives us the power to create wealth and everything else that comes behind that. So if God, see, I'm saying my God-given power now, but back then I wasn't thinking this way. I was not thinking about, this is the power that God gave me. Oh, great. No, I wasn't thinking that way. It's now that I can look back and see, wow, what if I would have given up this power? What if I would have chased rabbits? What if I would have been chasing rabbits? What if I actually had success doing the thing that I was doing? Then what would have happened? would I have fully come into the person that God created me to be? I don't know. Like that's a hard one because I mean, God can do whatever He feels like, but the way that things have shaped up, I'm like, it seems like this is where He had me from the start. So if this is where He had me, He knew how things would play out. If I would have had success doing that other thing, then I could have lost my God-given power. See, you can have power. Say this. You got to hear this because I'm listening to it. I can have power and yet still have lost my God-given power. See, power without purpose leads to an emptiness. Power without purpose potentially leads to an emptiness. How do I know this? Because God doesn't want to give us power first. He wants to give us purpose so that when we know what the purpose is for our life and then the power comes, everything works according to His plan. According to His plan. I was looking over story of Abraham, Genesis chapter 3, and God was telling Abram his purpose. He was telling him what was going to happen when certain things happen. He says to Abram, he says, look, I'm going to bless those. I'm going to bless those who bless you, and I'm going to curse those who curse you. What? But he's telling Abram, he's like, look, you don't got to worry about nothing. See, when we go into the purpose, Abram went to the purpose. What was the purpose? Abram, I'm calling you to go somewhere that you don't know where you're going. And here's the thing. Just go. Abram was like, man, that sounds good. Does that sound good to you? If God told you to go someplace and you don't know where you're going, are you still going to go, or are you going to ask more questions? I'm sure Sarah had a lot of questions for Abram. Based on the account, I bet you Sarah was like, man, Abram, what are we doing? Come on. Like, you gotta talk about I'm having a baby. Come on, is that even possible? I already know Sarah was like, yeah, whatever. I know it. Based on the scripture, it looks like she was, like, I'm going, Abram, just because I'm a woman of God. I just don't know if that's true. So when I almost lost my purpose, I could have canceled so much. See, because when God blesses us, right? When God blessed me at the very beginning, blessed you too. When God blessed me at the very beginning, and He said what I would do, He said who I would be, and He said what my purpose on this earth would be. He says, what's interesting, and this is me just kind of thinking, what's interesting about this whole situation is that God let me live 40 years in a wilderness. Uh-oh. What? Yeah, I was in a wilderness for 40 years. Wasn't the children of Israel in the wilderness for 40 years? So I can see the prophecy living out in my life. I didn't see that because I didn't know I didn't understand that when I turned 40 and then all of a sudden I literally turned the corner to go somewhere else. See, when I almost lost my God-given power, the interesting thing is I had already made the turn. But here's what God does. God says, okay, let's see if we can trust him. Let's see if we can get this person to stay going the path, even though they don't know. Remember Abram was tested a lot. There was a lot of things that Abram wound up had to lie. Come on. He had to lie just to try and save. At least that's what he thought. I got to save me. I got to save my life because, man, if I tell these people that me and Sarah's married, if I tell them I'm married to her, man, they gonna kill me and just take my wife. So he had to lie and say, this is my sister. Did God cancel his blessing because he lied? Uh-oh. He didn't cancel it. God didn't cancel his blessings. God didn't cancel what he had for him because he says, well, he's going. and he's doing his best. I don't know, man. God is interesting because he clearly lied, and it happened multiple times. Did God overlook it? No, God saw it because it's highlighted. It's highlighted, and it happened. Even Jacob did this. So it's highlighted in the scripture that these mugs actually had some lying in their genes. And yet God still blessed them. Why? Because when God calls you, God has already blessed you to get to where it is that you're going. God called me. He had already blessed me to get to where I was going. I was going to have to go through a bunch of obstacles. Abraham went through a lot of obstacles. I mean, tons of them. A bunch of obstacles to get the power to really understand the purpose. And I'm gonna tell you, man, just in living this life today, I'm about to close here. In living the life that God has given me, looking back over, it's almost 7 years, and I remember it was like a big date, was September of 2016 when me and Jenny was talking in our bedroom, and I was like, honey, I think you should leave your job. I think that'll be better for us. And in telling her that, I had no real awareness that we'd be successful. I had no awareness that it would be good for us. I had no awareness that it would be good for our kids. I had no awareness that this was the catalyst that would change our life. I had no awareness for that. I just said it. God was calling me, and then I made a call to her, which was interesting, and she came along. It's kind of like Sarah. She came just with a little bit, like kind of some disbelief, just like, well, I'm coming because it sounds good. Like Sarah went because it sounded good. It sounded like, you know what? It sounds like that's good. Now, I don't know if that's really going to happen, but I'll go to see. I'm sure that's what Jenny was feeling. I'll go to see. It feels good. It really feels like this could happen, but I don't really know. And I don't necessarily believe it. I'm telling you, she didn't necessarily believe it. Enough has happened along the way to give her little bits and pieces of, okay, this could be, but I'm not sure. I'm being honest here, and Jenny could be listening, but I'm just speaking what the word is saying. The word is saying, look, you don't even need 100%. You don't 100% have to believe something to do something. Sarah didn't 100% believe until it happened. When she had the baby, she was like, oh, when she got pregnant, now she really believed. But it wasn't until she got pregnant. So how many years went by before she got pregnant? So when you think about it, look, God, he factors in disbelief. He factors in lying. He factors in making mistakes. He factors all those things in. He says, because that's why I gave him time. So I needed my Sarah, Jenny, to tell me I would be an idiot if I gave up this field of accounting. She had no understanding what was coming next. She had no understanding why I needed to stay in this field. She just says, don't do it, because she knew, she felt, she says, there's something up. Nope, don't do it. But what if I didn't have Sarah? Jenny, I'm calling Jenny Sarah. What if I didn't have Jenny to say that? What if she agreed with me with everything? And she doesn't, thank God. What if she agreed with me and says, man, go do it? She still had her job at the time. We wouldn't be here. And we wouldn't be in position for the purpose for which God called us and created us for. We would literally be somewhere else we would be in a different wilderness. And maybe that wilderness would have just led us to close out our lives and never to discover the real purpose that God created us for. That would have been a tragedy. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful to God that he placed a Sarah in my life, Jenny. I'm thankful to God that he's shown me in the look back He's shown me as I look back on all of the coming throughs. I'm thankful to God for that, because all those coming throughs help someone else to come out. I'll say that again. All the coming throughs help someone else to come out. You're carrying something, and whatever you're carrying is to help somebody to come out from where they are. So guys, I hope you got value from this. If you did, like, share, comment, let somebody know that there's something good about this podcast. And if you know accountants, tax preparers, people in this field, also let them know about this podcast. This is the premier place where accountants and those types of people will be able to start to account for their life, because we've got something special coming down the pike that's going to change the game when it comes to what accountants and people in this field can do, and how they're going to be changing the world and the lives of the business owners that they work with. So guys, I appreciate you for joining me. And this is Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the Healthy Accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.